Paul, what profession could you realistically imposter into?
Estate agent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, actually. Fuck yeah. Sell the room you're in.
Okay. This is an intimate, much-loved space. And...
Pre-loved.
It's pre-loved, so you don't have to.
Comes with its own cum and piss stains. You won't have to provide that yourself. It's authentic 20th century piss.
But you do have to look hard for it. So it's not like ready.
Think of it as an Easter egg.
Yeah, it's ready. It's not a ready-made, no effort cummy sort of apartment. It's put in the hard yards, and eventually, if you're lucky on Christmas, you'll get a Satsuma and a cummy apartment.
You'll look around and be like, oh, hang on, it's everywhere. And that'll be the greatest Christmas treat of all.
Yeah. How much you say? $10 million.
Payable now. No refunds. And I'm not going to mention the fact that this place is going to be demolished tomorrow. Didn't you just mention it? No.
No, I'm telling you I'm not mentioning it. Oh, okay, brilliant. Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Who can I make the check payable out to? Just my non-taxing company. Yeah, I know words.
That's right.
My tax shelter house. I noticed you've written the words tax shelter on the front of your own home. Yeah? Oh.
Damn it. I guess we have a new principality.
And that's how Sweden was formed. Welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that believes silence can also be a podcast. I'm Paul Pater.
I'm getting slammed tomorrow.
It sure is, because today is the last day of Goodman season, and I hate this time of year. Everybody's already taken down the Goodman decorations. All the adverts are back to normal. The big paper mache Goodman head has been ceremonially burned.
The Lurpak man has been melted.
It's been melted alive, and it just feels like another regular, dreary, sweltering summer day again.
Yeah.
I hate that.
If only Goodman season could be every week.
Oh, I wish it could be Goodman season every week. But Paul won't allow it because he's a big old dick.
Why can't we just do movies that I liked as a teenager? Because it's gone very well. Granted, I might run out of them in about 3 weeks' time, but you don't know.
Let's find out.
None of you know.
Look, in a few weeks we'll be doing Statham season.
Go on, Tommy, before the Germans get here.
And that's going to work for both of us, I think.
I'll do a new fucking jingle.
Damn it, I need to... new fucking jingle. God damn it. Ah, well, one last hurrah, though, because it's also a great movie episode. Yes. Every 10 episodes, we review a well-received recent non-genre film to see if we think it has a shot at immortality. Unlike
Immortality.
Immortality. And desperately hoping to make the point that great movies do still get made. And where better to look for modern classics than Poland? And we've got Jan Komasa's 2019 priest drama, very interesting subgenre, Corpus Christi.
Zaprowadzę do proboszcza, ucieszysz się.
Gołąb Wojciech. Ksiądz Tomasz.
Myślę, kto mógłby mnie zastąpić.
No ale co, muszę i wszystko?
I nie tylko.
Widziałem tablicę ze zdjęciami.
Bóg tak chciał. Bóg chciał zabić 7 osób?
Słyszałem, że ksiądz wypytuje o tego kierowcę. Nawet rozumiem ciekawość, tylko śledztwo jest już zamknięte.
Mam prawo rozmawiać z wiernymi o czym tylko chcę.
Priestorama.
Priestorama. A priestem up.
Clive Owen's priest him up.
Clive, you gotta give up the cassock.
God bless you. Oh, Clive, you're so emotive. You're so dang emotive.
God damn it, Paul Giamatti. How many times?
I cannot be asked.
Damn it, I forgot how close the Clive voice is to the Christopher Nolan. Oh, critics tried to understand the film, not judge it. But they did also judge it and said it was good. Except
brilliant.
Steve Erickson at Nashville scene, who complains that we've seen this premise before in Sister Act. Can only be one type of movie in each premise, and Sister Act has happened, so this can't happen. This can't exist.
He hates most movies.
He hates all time travel movies, certainly.
After H.G. Wells is The Time Machine.
Yeah. Can't make another one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. And it's just highly derivative crap ever since, and so's this. And he also adds that Komasa tries too hard to convince us how important and sober his film is, even if his critiques are valid. So I agree with it. But why aren't there any fart jokes? Nobody gets eaten by a shark.
Not once. No one jumps a shark.
They're completely shark-free. There's one shark in the background of a shot, I think.
Incidentally, I'm a shark! And then he ran away and dived into the ocean.
Well, I'd take issue, but honestly, I think we could do with the diversity of voices in film criticism. And if this shark critic can make a go of it, then good luck to you, sir.
The human-to-shark ratio in film criticism
it's
is
disgraceful,
disgustingly
mate.
low. Yeah. Woeful. It's
Considering
diabolical.
And it's entirely unproportionate to the number of shark moviegoers there are, especially since I opened my cinema in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Is that where they are? I don't know.
Could be. You don't know.
You don't know. You haven't been. Public, meanwhile, felt actually it did matter where you're coming from and where you're going. Edward Gannon
brilliant.
on Google said, "My original posting seems to have been cancelled. What I said, and again I repeat, is if someone else bought a ticket for you, it was a waste of their money as well as your time. Just buy a Coke and move on to a different show. This show is not even worth a 1-star rating, although I have to rate a star just to have this post considered."
So I'd say it is worth it if because you do seem quite intent on getting your post, your review posted.
Yeah, yes, you've gone really the extra effort in spite of Google's attempts to cancel you. Read any Google review to realise that they're not cancelling shit, mate.
Do you think he went to he left his review, saw the star rating, and thought, no, I won't click on it because it's a 0, and then he presses submit, and then the little red thing comes up under the star rating. I'm sorry, you have to select this. He's like, oh, cancelled again, Google.
It seems I haven't been submitted. I've been cancelled. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable what's happening with Google these days. But this film has 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, 77% on Metacritic, 82% on Google, and made good money on its meager budget. But shall it last into eternity?
Well, shame they didn't make it like that anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't make movies like this anymore, mate. It's been a long 2 years. Anyway, so Paul, you fake clergyman.
God bless you in Polish. I looked at the translation for it, and it wasn't what it was in the film, and I didn't go back and check.
Yeah, the subtitlers may have cut a corner there. What's one thing about Corpus Christi that made you want to trap your balls in a drawer?
Oh, Paul. Well, I mean, speaking of that, this movie starts in juvie. It's movie in juvie, and
which I didn't realise. I thought maybe it was just any male-dominated workspace, but then realised, okay, it is prison. When I saw some bars on a window.
Very few. I don't want to know which workplace just waits for the manager to leave for the rest of the people to start torturing.
Literally anyone.
Their local bitch.
The assigned bitch.
Yeah.
You get bitch training. You get the fire marshal training. We've got the fire marshal. And we've got the guy who keeps the keys to the fridge. And there's the bitch.
They don't tell you what you're training for, though. Come the end, they're like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to get my badge for prison, bitch. Yeah. Sorry, Billy.
What was all the maths about? Well, you know.
Misdirect. You might want something to fill your mind.
And your butt. Because we have got Bartosz Blenia playing Bill Skarsgård.
You don't know.
And you don't know what he's up to these days when he's not it. But yes, he's in the saw shop of the prison, playing a good old game of balls in a drawer. And then it's prayer time. And the preacher is just there, being like, for God's sake, listen to me and take personal responsibility for your actions and, pray earnestly and your own relationship with God. That's not very compatible with balls in a drawer.
No.
Just my favourite game.
If this is a horror film and, God forbid, a 90s or noughties remake of an 80s successful horror movie, this is the scene where I tell you the important thing, the theme of the movie. And Daniel
establish
better
your
not fall
own
asleep.
Sense of good.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'm going to. What if I impersonate a priest? No, not that. What's wrong with you? I'll definitely ruin that for you if you do it later.
It's the one thing you're not allowed to do. It's literally, of all the things you could have said, it's the one thing. And you said it. You fucking idiot criminal.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I'll tell you what, though, in spite of being an excellent lookout during ball draw, he's not actually very popular in this prison. Unless this, smashing his head over with a plate is another classic prison jape.
No.
It's another great game.
He gets, now...
he gets out of prison, and he has a big night out, followed by, including some sex. He has a sex, which is great.
He does a sex. And
he does a
boy.
sex. Oof. Bit of a sex.
Good.
And then the next morning, and this is what really gets my engine running, is he has the Polish equivalent of a dodgy kebab, which, I don't know, looks like a samosa. I think it might be a kinesha.
Okay,
but
cool. I'll take your word for it.
It's half a... I read a thing that said it's half a bread loaf cut in half and then stuffed with, stuffing of some sorts. And then some people said it was half a Victoria sponge that is then stuffed with meat and vegetables.
Well, that is... very similar to the origins of all of our pasties and puds.
We kept fucking up cake and then making a cuisine.
Some of them were sweet, some were savoury, some had both in different ends, and that's what I love about Britain. Yeah. We don't need Europe. So
and it's not clear that it actually is a kinesha. The filmmakers have left that ambiguous.
I mean, it's a film of national healing, and I think you have to make those decisions. It does also look like he's eating a post fuck up Ginster's pasty, and it looks very, very nourishing. There's just something about how cold and unpalatable it looks that looks really good and palatable
to us Englishmen. So yes, he is heading out to a Polish village in order to do some soaring that he's been assigned. It sounds good.
A bunch of other Vics.
Who wants to play ball in a draw? Yeah, mate. But instead of doing that, he arrives in a little town and pretends to be a priest in order to impress a judgmental girl. We've all been there. And he actually bloody works for him, and no police are called at all. Injustice.
She's judgmental, but that's just her exterior.
She's got a heart of gold, really, and you're going to find that out later on. But for now, he gets to be a priest with all the privileges that utails. Wine with an old bloke,
free sharing,
ironic respect from teens, depressing confessions from old people, everything. It's great.
But a weird sort of bubble of invulnerability unless you do something that's really going to rock the boat. Because no one's going to pick on a priest other than the youths of today.
Yeah. He's going to have to do his first service, though, and he accidentally steps on the organ's line. The organ's like...
W imię Ojca I Syna I Ducha
Cunt. The organ just called me a cunt.
Yeah, mate.
Word of Jesus, mate.
Don't fuck with the organ. You let him say his bit, then you talk, all right? But yeah, then he does his talk, and he's like, "Church, am I right? What's the deal with that? Look at this guy on the cross. How am I supposed to compare with this guy? Early 30s with 2 successful careers as a carpenter and a famous dead guy. Anyway, let's sing, and he does a good sing, so it's fine.
He does a good sing, and he does a lot of what a prick would call trailer talk, and what I would just call best movie ever. Shut your face.
You can't have good dialogue in a movie. It's trailer bait.
So cynical, and it goes down well. Yeah,
it does go down well, but it's a bit awkward though because there's been some road accident in this town that's killed 7 people, and we don't talk about the driver of the other car because it was Paddy McGuinness. We just don't. We don't want to go there.
Jesus, no.
No, just leave it.
You
unexplored.
Yeah, you can't handle the truth of the pad, and that's what he used to say when he was alive as well. And
that was the name of his tour.
It was a mouthful then, but quite ironic now. And I like to think that when dead Paddy McGuinness is up there in heaven looking down on us now, I think that right now, good one, lads. I'll steal that for my stand-up show in heaven.
Oh God, that's what's in heaven waiting for us. Yes. I'm going to start singing. He attends the morning vigil and actually voices the concerns of his people and addresses their fears and grievances. This won't do, because there's an Amy Adams from the Master style menacing woman who is in some way related to the church, and she's very concerned that he's going to patch Adams it.
God, so many things I only vaguely remember, Paul. So many references. Why couldn't you have referenced The Big Short on Gangs of New York, Paul? That's what I watched this week. That's what I remember.
I will try my best. But yes, he comforts a dying woman who's a bit like Brendan Gleeson from Gangs of New York. And
Brilliant. Okay.
he comforts a dying woman and conducts some new age screaming therapy, which goes down very well. And meets the mayor, Russell Crowe. Recent Russell Crowe.
Sinister, authoritative man.
Oh, yeah, because he wants to open a new wing of the sawmill. Oops, I hope he doesn't meet anyone he went to the same prison as there. That could be awkward.
Probably not, it's probably fine.
That's probably fine. So he goes to hang out with the young folk on a kick-ass boat hang. Jesus, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That's the chillest thing I've ever fucking seen.
They do start talking about the car crash. And,
they start talking about Paddy McGuinness, and as usual, tension ensues.
But eventually they all realise that the only thing they can do is get absolutely shit-faced to forget about Paddy McGuinness, knowing full well that he will eventually rear his head, but for now...
Yeah. Well, Skarsgård doesn't do that, though. He goes off and talks to McGuinness's widow, which goes great.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mayor Crowe suggests that he not look into this any further. And I'm surprised Skarsgård isn't like, after meeting McGuinness's widow, maybe I should just drop it. But no, he's got some sense of justice. Ugh. What a bastard.
The mayor, I've just realised the mayor is very much the movie The Hunt for me. The Danish...
Yes.
The Danish one. It's just, he is that.
Yeah, he's the movie. So he does a sermon about being humble. And so he's a communist in the eyes of all authorities.
Oh my God.
But he is trying to move the town towards closure, nevertheless. He encourages everybody to give up the possessions that they've been clinging on to of their relatives who died in the car crash, including a little kid who's got a David Beckham football. Jesus, that's probably worth some money.
Sell that, mate.
Maybe it's not. Maybe there's loads of those. Do you know what I'm going to do if I meet David Beckham? I'm going to get him to sign a cricket bat. How many of those are there?
That's pretty good. And if you go up there, I mean, it's the same for me as well. If one of us were to go up to David Beckham holding a cricket bat, no one would even assume that we're going to beat him to death with it. They just look at us and go, "Oh, it's just a weirdo thing."
Beat up this lovable pants man.
He's guided my decision on pants for 10 years now.
But it turns out there's actually an I know what you did last summer plot going on, because it turns out, the teens were actually the drunk ones, not the lone outsider figure married to a lonely Anne Hesh. So, Oh, imagine a I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel in which the whole town went in on the teen story because it was more convenient for them.
That'd be good.
Oh,
this is that.
And then the killer kills the whole town. Okay, we'll pitch that later.
Okay.
But, oh no, fellow prisoner wants to blackmail him now because he recognized him from the sawmill.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, well, he has a few more scenes. He does a few good speeches. Oh, no, that's it. He goes and gives a speech to his congregation, and now it's all bubbles and music, and everything's fine.
Yay.
And the girl sings a nice song, and it really looks like Skarsgård's going to jump up and sing his own song. Do Bohemian Rhapsody! But instead it's, surprise, suckers, we're going to bury Paddy McGuinness with the money that you've spent today.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Probably should have sung Bohemian Rhapsody.
I know that the previous girl with her depressing folk song about being betrothed to somebody she didn't want to marry and having no other choice got all your spirits up.
Yep, it amped you fuckers up, but nevertheless, I'm going to have to break it to you.
I'm here for a real talk, dogs!
So prison dude breaks into the priest's home and they do some drugs and bond a bit. Find a priest you can do coke with, folks. Those are the ones who they're going to listen.
Don't find a priest, find your priest.
Oh, come on now, that's beautiful.
Come on now.
Come on now, boys. That's not what we're here for. Anyway, the town didn't like being punked into paying for some guy's funeral, so they confront Skarsgård, but he's got some hard truths for them. Take that, Amy Adams from The Master. Or Daniel Day-Lewis, I guess.
I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know. he headbutts a guy and does a first reformed with the young girl.
Yeah.
But their sexy time gets interrupted by a fire that's been started outside.
Oh no! Well, no, they definitely came, Paul.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, it wasn't interrupted. They fully went for it in a way that Ethan Hawke could only dream of, and
fucking prick.
Yeah, and with that fire starting outside, maybe that's where we ought to leave our plot summary of Corpus Christi. What's gonna happen next?
Oh my God! It's a happy ending. He's allowed to go back to his parents after he realizes that none of the pigs there were his mum and dad. And the Witch of the North lets him go.
Absolutely, and that is the spiriting away of Bartosz Blenia. So, Paul, what do you think of Corpus Christi, and why are we here?
The Spiriting Away of Bartosz Belenia is a very good name of something. Probably like a Chekhov short story, but very, very good all the same.
Even that fucker can stretch that out to 4 acts.
Good try, prick.
Yeah. So, Paul, what do you think of Chekhov?
And was the question why?
Why? Why select this?
Why? Why?
Whoa. Okay. Calm down. Why are we here?
Okay. So, saw this year and a half ago or so, I think. It kind of, it very much snuck under the 2019 radar.
2019 was a hell of a year. Knives Out came out. Nothing else got done.
Everyone else was too busy crying into their own butts. And it was, then everything, obviously everything went weird after that. And
kind of weird, guys.
Didn't it? Hey, is it just me or did it get weird?
Things have been crazy.
Weird. And we saw this as part of MIF, Melbourne International Film Festival. They had an online, like a little library streaming section of stuff that was maybe missed in previous years, and also they just made a whole bunch of things available for a limited time. Just I think a lot of festivals did this. Just
Lift have started doing this as well.
Cool. Well, and with restrictions being what they are, especially in Melbourne. It was just one of those, and we had a look at a few different things and thought, hey, this looks like a good idea, and then put it on, and just it was the monolith I evolved. I really, it really immediately stood out as something great, and and I popped it into my 2019 list. It's top 3. I can't decide what to.
What won that year? Was that Mandy year?
No, that was The Art of Self-Defense.
Oh, yes.
But I think on reflection, I should have put The Farewell as number 1.
Oh, that's what I did, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
That's
what I should have had. And since then, Last Black Man in San Francisco and Corpus Christi have both gone into. So I think the top 3, in no particular order, would be The Farewell, Corpus Christi, and The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yeah.
All
that's
incredible.
God Almighty. That was the same year as this 2019. That's the same year as Parasite, Portrait of a Lady on Fire in the Lighthouse. Jesus. Maybe we should revisit that year at some stage.
Yeah, might be worth it. So
Fuck.
that was the background for that. I was blown away. I'd never heard of this movie before. Weirdly, I'd been made aware of it about a week before because I was working at JB Hi-Fi at the time, and somebody had ordered a copy of it, and I saw it and went, oh. That's a film now that I'm aware of, and and I just remember it being really funny and profound and incredibly well made.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a very engaging film that is telling a dramatic story, but in a very accessible way. There's a very compelling kind of narrative going on.
Yes,
with lots of twists and turns, and an engaging sort of story in here, and. It's one of those wonderful things, and a very accessible kind of thrill of seeing an outsider figure kind of shake things up in a small town in a way that does invoke Sister Act in the most positive way you could imagine.
Yeah, in the most positive Jim Jarmusch way, you could ever hope.
I was trying to figure out what it really reminded me of. Something where, in particular, the point in which he is exposed, and there is this overall feeling of this figure has come in on a pretext, on a lie. But he has made things better, and we all kind of wish we could live with the lie. There was something, I couldn't put my finger on it. I don't think it's just Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, I think there's something more sophisticated, and I also
not that Mrs.
can't.
Doubtfire isn't unsophisticated.
Far be it from me to judge. I think
Pierce Brosnan. Need I say more?
Need you, listeners?
He's gonna be in Black Adam. So there you go.
I think brilliant. I think the really impressive thing is, it's it's a movie that has these very bleak beginnings, it's just
Yes.
terrifying, suffocating atmosphere of juvie, and
Yeah.
the color palette throughout is this dreary drain. It's very desaturated, for reasons we can go into in a while. You know, Daniel has got these huge bags under his eyes. He's needle
Yes.
thin and
Yes.
very strung out, and then suddenly this movie, as soon as he dons the collar. It's
Yes.
this movie about a reverend who's come to fix this broken town. And
Yeah.
I just, my brain casts aside the devious side of things. And it's this romantic notion of this unsung, unsolicited hero coming in and healing a town.
Yeah.
And it manages to romanticize being a vicar.
Sure.
And
in a way that invokes Calvary, which also did the same thing. I think it had this this very saintly kind of priest at its heart, as the heart of it, trying to heal. Only that film was much more cynical. You know, that film ended up with him succeeding, but only through the ultimate sacrifice in the end. But Bartosz Bolenia is just absolutely amazing in the film. He's got such a great physicality and sort of sensitive look to him. During it, I suddenly realized he reminded me a lot, and I'm going to kick myself for not knowing the actor's name, of Carl Theodor Dreyer's The Passion of Joan of Arc. Okay. The sort of main character in that, and it's obviously the quintessential study of the close-up and the power that has on the big screen. You know, he has a similar kind of haunting look to his eyes. And I think one of the things I like best about it is that Daniel, is the character, comes in with good faith. He is a man of faith himself. He's clearly demonstrated to be a Catholic in prison and like following the teachings there, and he has an honest relationship with his own religion and is therefore able to make a meaningful connection to the villagers who have become accustomed to the idea of the church just being another form of control, another corrupt entity servicing all of the powers that be, such as the mayor. And I like that. I like that it's not anti-religion, just the anti-corruption of the church. It wasn't polemic, just very earnest in its belief that in a basic good that we all lose sight of sometimes. And I love that in a movie that's also willing to be really brutal. Because I actually think that's more daring than a film that is just unremittingly bleak. You know, you put yourself out there and you say, yes, the world is bleak, but there's hope and there's love in it. And this film was willing to do that. And I think that's, a braver thing to do than just, making something that's just depressing all the way through.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. It does make a difference that he's not a huckster. As such, he does.
Otherwise,
believe.
this would be Soul Man.
And we all love Soul Man, but
was it Soul Man I was thinking of? Oh
God, probably they're both that likable.
Or White Chicks.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, these are all good movies, but unfortunately, we're here to talk about
damn
bloody International Film Festival winner Corpus Christi. But it does manage to be really profound because he believes, and the sermons that he gives are incredibly powerful. Some of the, obviously a lot cribbed from the vicar, the reverend in the prison, but it's not just a good performance. It's a great performance of a character who's giving a great performance because he truly believes in what he's doing. And so this movie was made to be like to sort of perform a sort of national healing after the 2010 Smolensk plane crash where the president of Poland and a number of top officials died. And it is one of the reasons why the film is recorded. The film was dictated, is shot in this desaturated palette, and it's this kind of this community of people who are unwilling to forgive. And he gives this and he gives this wonderful sermon about how to forgive is not to forget. And
yes, that was great. That's one of my quick fires. It's just that whole speech was really, really good. The idea that forgiveness is not to say that what happened is okay, or to forget about it, or to make it nothing, but rather to accept the reasons it happened and just be prepared to move on. That was really good.
And it's great. And so you've got all of this, and you're so behind this guy's intentions, even though it starts with the deception, and yet at the, as you were saying, the film is constantly hinting at the threat. He meets a cop on the way on the coach journey over to the sawmill, who immediately sort of tags him for a juvie on parole, and little things like that keep popping up, threaten to ruin this excellent work that he's doing. Yeah, and it's and the fact the film manages to balance that with this amazingly dry sort of comic sense of humor, and just make it just incredibly watchable, as well as being emotionally profound, is just really special.
It really is. And when we talk about the great movies, and in terms of it being in the canon of great movies, we often try to think about the movies in the context of, things that have come before that are still remembered as being great. So it behooves us to perhaps have a look. And we've mentioned, a number of these movies already. Yeah. We've talked about White Chicks. We've talked about, Soul Man, I think it's worth thinking about it in the context of Polish cinema, because it is tricky, because Poland was an early adopter of the cinema compared to the rest of, certainly Western Europe, but Europe in general. It's, cinema was built very early on and sort of established itself in the country as part of its culture. And it has a fascinating history, especially after the Second World War, when the Soviets had a huge impact, sort of hoping to crank out anti-Nazi propaganda, and just ended up really giving just all of the tools they needed to form a national cinema. Yeah, we used to try and find a similar film to watch alongside the classic one when both of us had any time to do that. But that could have been tricky for this, because I am really out of my depth on Polish cinema. I've barely scratched the surface, certainly in terms of the 20th century.
There was that one that we watched about 10 years ago.
Which was that?
Was it? I can never remember what it's called, like Dark House or something.
Oh, shit, yes! Yes, the movie classic, that I keep trying to find every now and then when I remember it, because there are moments of it that really stuck with me, and I can never find a thing, because there are like 50 movies called The Dark House or The Dark Lodge or The Black House or... Yeah, if anyone knows what we're talking about. It was a guy, his wife died, dropped dead suddenly, and then he went traveling. And he ended up in a farmhouse with a very unsettling farmer and wife, and there was a police investigation of some sort trying to get out to him. Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, I've seen some Andrzej Wajda films, and I love those. I've seen some Krzysztof Kieślowski films, as have you. You saw the Three Colors, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen some Zulawski, and a lot of Polanski, of course. But I've only seen one Skilimowski, no Holland, no Munch, no Kawalerowicz, no Haas. So I've got some work to do, but I'm better on the last decade, because Poland keeps showing up at the film festivals I go to, and I've been to Kinoteka, which is the Polish film festival out here.
Okay.
And I think there are two recent films that I do believe have been accepted into the canon of great movies and have become international breakout hits that are useful to compare it to, and that's Paweł Pawlikowska's Ida and Cold War. Did you see Cold War in the end? I remember.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah. That was really good. So, yeah, both films very interesting, both absolutely steeped in Poland's past, and it's, in particular, Ida was obviously a lot about the Holocaust, but also religion, and Cold War had, the Second World War thing going on, so very actively about the past. And I think what's interesting about this film is to sort of make it a contemporary study, and yet to have those anxieties and that history, and in particular those anxieties around the church, so present, and having all that suffering and subtext and sort of allegory whilst presenting something that's much more relatable. Yeah,
'cause my understanding, what I read in the very loose bit of... Sorry, I'll do that. I'll get a take without the sound of me putting on my hoodie. What I gathered from reading about this movie was, a lot of anxieties around the church come from the fact that this story of imposter clergymen is quite a common occurrence in Poland. Yeah, because of the sort of social mobility that it offers to the underprivileged. Yeah, which is
the benefit of the doubt that's not willing to be expended towards.
Which is really interesting, and one reason I love movies like this is because it gives an insight into contemporary Poland, and it's always going to be fascinating to watch movies like Cold War, and the Czech movie Dear Comrades?
Oh yeah,
which I really want to watch. It looks like it's going to be an incredible movie.
Yeah,
there's always room for that. I'm always gonna love those movies. But the Second World War is just the sort of just an infinite resource of incredible stories.
I can't remember the nationality of Shadow Country. Was it Hungarian? The film from a couple of years ago that was last year, in fact, that demonstrated the kind of anti-Nazi blowback that happened after the war. That was really terrifying and saw the sort of community torn apart again. Yeah, really fascinating stuff.
But yeah, it's but being able to see movies like this that just look at contemporary concerns is kind of precious. You don't get too much of them.
Absolutely.
But I don't get too much of them.
And stylistically, it was really interesting as well because, of course, Pawlowski likes to do. He does black and white, these long takes that feel very, very Eastern European, very almost Soviet and Russian in its nature and its sort of ponderous nature, but absolutely full of life. Here we have something that is much more intimate and warm. Intense sort of close-ups, very active camera, very subjective camera that sort of sticks close to our main character and really wants to tell its entire story through Bartosz Blenya's experience, through Daniel's experience. Yeah, so I think in terms of... It's interesting that I didn't notice it getting as big a breakout, but it could just be, as you say, because it did the festival circuit in 2019 and then COVID. So it may have sort of snuck under the radar, which is unfortunate because it really is extraordinary. I do think it deserves to be mentioned among Pawlowski's films and indeed the general canon of great Polish cinema, from what I've seen, certainly. And I hope that it does find a name for itself. And I think it has a fair shot because hopefully it made a lot of money in its native Poland, and I think it did sort of capture anxieties and concerns and hopes that are universal. And we'll see it in good stead, over here where we have a similar kind of, anywhere that has anxieties about the role that religion is playing in its society and a hope that it might play a more positive one will really gravitate towards this, but also people just hoping to believe in second chances as well, and being aware of how rarely those are meted out in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we should quick fire.
I think so too.
Quick fire. Priest at the beginning is talking about, is giving his lecture, and then he's like, maybe we should sing about it. And then he just does his little shrug. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. And I really like that. It was very pally and kind of...
nice. Is he? He's the guy who turns up later as well?
Yes, he is.
Okay, cool. I liked him in general. I really liked his presence, the sort of physicality of the guy, and later he turns up without his collar on, just wearing a black t-shirt, still black. Yes. But it's like, hey, I'm a muscle priest.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of priest that smokes roll-up cigarettes.
I like the fatherly energy to the man, because even though, you want to see our main character continue on as the priest of this small town, when he shows up, he feels like he's carrying the weight of the church. So when he says, no, you don't do this and we don't play this game, it feels stern and inarguable.
Yeah.
The first, the confessional scene, where he's at the confessional and,
oh God, yeah.
Starts relatively amusingly because he's Googling how to get the confessional started. Yeah. But then the woman comes in and confesses to beating her kids for smoking. Yeah. Well, she doesn't confess to beating her kids. That's just mentioned incidentally. Yeah. She confesses that her kids are smoking, kind of confessing their sins. Yeah. And reporting them as her own. And then when he brings it round and starts to make her feel guilty about hitting her kids, that's really quite special.
Yeah. The journey that scene takes you on, starting with the laughter and then...
Yeah.
Even the way he phrases, navigates... addressing the beating of the kids through the smoking, and the letting drop that he knows she smokes because he can smell it on her, and just really pinning responsibility on her to take responsibility. It's it's a really interesting scene, and it's very surprisingly for how early in the movie it is moving.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's really capitalizing on the potential of the confessional in general, which is the idea of being able to leave yourself for a minute and seeing your sins in the context of an outside observer, which is also what happens later on when they confront the crowd with the hate letters they've written to Mrs. McGinnis. And again, it's just this idea of you all did this in private, but here it is back. Yeah. How do you feel about it now? And they're all kind of shamed by it, which is, very powerful.
Yeah. So to start off with, the opening shot is brilliant. The static camera, one shot, I think, just showing as the guard leaves, showing the inmates very subtly setting up this horrible moment of abuse.
Yeah.
As walking past each other and giving signals, and it just immediately and successfully gets across how awful a place it is.
Yeah.
And just it's like existentially terrifying place to me. Prison and juvie in general. When he's called to lead the hymn, he gets up and starts singing, and it's an over the shoulder shot from him, and you just see a few of the inmates just watching him, and it's it's predatory and really unsettling. No one glaring at him, but you can just see a few people's eyes on him.
Yeah. Ugh. That really reminded me of there's a Hungarian filmmaker, Laszlo Nemes, who directed Son of Saul, the Holocaust movie, a few years ago, and did Sunset a few years later. And he does that. He does that super subjective, objective, I should say, sticking in someone's face and just kind of following them around the scene and keeping it almost all of the action in the background. So when this horrible thing, this abuse of this guy is happening, like in the background, and we're just kind of sticking on our main character, really reminded me of that.
Cool.
It was very powerful. His first sermon, was very good. It's very good to sort of see him start to get into the crowd. And then the second one later on when, he's like throwing the holy water around and, the crowd's like really celebrating with him. And it's like, it's just a really great sort of celebratory moment when he starts to actually connect with these people by preaching them in a way that is not stiff or formal, but which they can actually relate to. Yeah. And I really love that.
To jest to Królestwo Niebieskie na ziemi, o którym tyle czytamy w Ewangelii. I nie gdzieś tam, kiedyś, tam, tylko tu i teraz.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'll keep on with Prison and get the early stuff out of the way. Very simple, but I really love the title font. When it comes up, it's just so big and clean. Yeah. And the directing style, the cinematography, it's all so clean and purposeful, and that the title font matches it, and it just, I don't know why, but it just pleased me greatly.
Yeah, that's very good.
The whole scene that starts with opening the door to the screaming of the Reverend and the inmates is great. Their physicality as the door is opened is just amazing. The way he sort of lunges forward for the scream, and then come the end of their chat when he says you can't be a priest. It's not possible for a convict. And then he asks him what time he needs to get to the sawmill, and then he says, and when you get there, you need to be, and he says, sober, that's obvious. Yeah. Hard cut to the next scene. Coke, bathroom sex, hard EDM. And then there's the scene of him dancing close up, this, pulsing lights, this amazing clarity, and just him gurning his face off.
Trzeźwy, wiadomo.
But also that scene is probably the most colour. That and the fire later on is the most colour you get in the whole movie. And there's something about that. It is a very memorable shot.
It is. I like his great singing voice and his great singing face. He has a very serene kind of face when he's singing. A very angelic kind of expression forms over him that I really liked.
Pan jest pasterzem moim. Niczego mi nie braknie, na niwach zielonych pasie mnie, nad wody spokojne prowadzi mnie.
at times his character reminded me of the character of the thief from The Painter and the Thief. Yeah, this kind of this criminal type. Obviously, he's much more self-aware than that criminal was, but this kind of the beauty that only the painter saw in him.
Yeah,
It's really interesting, and just the shades of light that could emanate from this very troubled figure with all of his tattoos and his scars.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. For a second, I thought you meant the thief and the cobbler, and I was desperately trying to figure out what the fuck you were talking about.
The way that he was voiced by that fucking comedian, that dead comedian.
I loved that about him.
Love that.
The prejudiced cop on the coach was really unpleasant, and
what a dick! I hate that guy.
Yeah, he sums up the kind of the small town obstinacy.
Yeah.
Just the unwillingness to forgive or to understand or connect to someone he believes has done wrong.
Yeah, like a small town sheriff in Rambo.
Exactly.
It won't do, Brian Dennehy.
Or McGloin in Gangs of New York.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
love how he evoked that.
Absolutely, he did. I like when they're doing the screaming therapy, and one of them says there's something shameful about it, and he says, who's ashamed? Who is going to be ashamed of you for this? And then gestures towards the picture of the dead people, saying, they're not ashamed. And it's just the passion of him in this, and his very simple sort of, there's just feeling of it of don't be embarrassed about your emotions, let them out, was just, really powerful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Just the physicality of Daniel Bartosz Belenia in general. When he's in the church and he meets the girl at the beginning, who is the daughter of the stern the sexton, and he says he's a priest, and she goes, "Oh, where's your clergy collar?" And the interminable pause before he takes out the fake costume he has. It's great. You don't know what he's going to do when he's just holding your gaze like that. It's amazing stillness.
Amazing stillness. Another amazing stillness that happens, I thought, was it's so amazing. Is shots of the town, just beautiful shots of this town. Which again, even though it is a dimmed color palette, I recently spent 7.5 hours watching Bellatar's Saturn Tango, and that's a bleak fucking town.
Yeah,
that is just a town where it's like, oh wow, was any of this ever new, or was it built derelict? Like, just utterly depressing. This is a beautiful, picturesque little town in Poland that is full of very troubled people. But sometimes there are shots that just really show off how beautiful it is, and I really enjoy that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the shot of the boat on the barge on the river is the lake is gorgeous.
Oh,
it's probably the other time there's actual rich color in there.
Yeah.
Because the sun washes all. The first chat with the reverend of this town.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is it priest? Because it must be Catholic, right?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, they are Catholic, so I assume it was all priests.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Well, anyway, he's talking to the priest, this old guy who's originally in this town, and he has a really slow way of speaking and digesting the information he's given. And when he asks Daniel which seminary from which seminary he graduated, and he tells him it was the one in Praga. Sorry.
Yes.
He sort of goes, and then carries on counting money before. It's a few seconds before he gives his opinion, and there's something great about the assurance he has in conversing with other people, but also the sort of the nerves that gave me as a viewer.
Yes.
As to what he was thinking and why he was taking so long.
Yes, and it's nice that it pays off because he says, "Oh, did you go to the one in Warsaw or the one from like?" And then he says, "Oh, I went to the other one." And he's like,
"Yeah, yeah."
Well, I went to Warsaw, and it's like, "Oh, thank God, he can't ask any specific questions about."
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Now the car scene between the mayor and Daniel reminded me of another 2019 film called Rose Plays Julie, which was also about an imposter. It was about a young woman who pretends to be someone else in order to get close to the man who's wronged her family in this horrible way, played by Aidan Gillen.
Huh.
Yeah,
Mr.
you
Gillen.
know you know he's done something.
You know.
So yeah, that it just reminded me of that. It had a very similar sort of tension and unease as they're kind of sat there, and there's this vague feeling that the mayor knows something is up, but it's just trying to threaten him, and our main character is having to some extent scale back what he's capable of, and having to go along with the threats to some extent, even when the mayor doesn't realize that he's threatened him with something real, which is to check with his identity with the actual judge. It was very effective. I enjoyed the layers of that sequence where they're having this face-off, not realizing that one of them is not who they seem.
Yes, that's great. And the way he combats that in the next, the next bit, when he goes to, he's opening the, opening the new wing of the sawmill, and he's introduced, immediately launches into a prayer about the sin of greed.
Yeah.
And then has everybody kneel in the dirt to deliver his prayer is sublime.
It's great to see him get power back through his earnestness and through his connection with his religion and with his people.
Yes, it's amazing how empowering his bravery and courage is in this movie.
Yes.
The announcing at the fair that the money's going to be spent on Slavic's funeral.
Fuck me. Even I thought, Jesus Christ, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I see a genuine lefty political candidate in this country say something I really earnestly agree with, it's like, shh.
Yeah.
I want you to win.
What are you fucking doing?
You fucking mad? Do you know what these people are like?
They're wolves. It's incredible. It's so powerful, and even though I'd seen it before, when that scene happened this time, noise came out of my mouth. I was just, still couldn't believe that he was doing it.
Because you were falling off the sofa at the time.
It's falling off the sofa, unrelated, yeah.
When that scene happened, I actually involuntarily said, "Ow, my toe!" But again, that may not have been directly. Yeah.
I hit my head though, so.
Oh yeah. So the film really got to me.
Yeah.
When they're talking about the fact that the young girl is talking about how the police didn't find any drug test, no drug thing. He says something like, "Standard tests never do, like show up anything," and she just gives him like this long look of what, which is again, it's one of the dark comedy sort of moments, very subtle sort of comedy of that you could imagine. Oh my god, imagine an American remake of this, like Downhill, with fucking Will Ferrell in the lead. Oh god.
What did you just say? Lydia, the sexton, played by Alexandra Konieczna, was incredible. She has one of the
one I called the Amy Adams.
Yes, one of the most statuesque faces. It's incredible. Those piercing eyes, and the look of its concern and judgment. But there's emotion and there's a likability there as well. It's all
Well,
so
it was great
complex.
to see her warm to him, and then in the end, well, we won't say, but it was great to see her kind of melt away as she started to see the validity of what he was doing.
Yes, she was amazing.
Yeah, she was. Now I've just realised what they would do in the American version, which was he'd be like, "No, standard tests never do." Not that I ever, not me. No, I would assume that from movies that I wouldn't watch. No, movie, and that would go on for 20 minutes.
And then the unfortunate woman who had to be in this film would be like, "You're weird. I like that." And then
the Doug theme, exactly.
That's it.
Realizing that he was... Oh, that's it, yes. He's in the confessional, and someone comes in, and he doesn't realize it's the bad guy from the prison camp, and he starts telling him his story, and then he gradually realizes that it's his story that he's telling, and that was a really dark moment of realization.
Yes.
And it's also, I think, the only time we are implicitly told what it is that he did in his past.
Yes.
That he killed someone in a fight.
Yeah. And the scene sort of moves along at such a pace after that. You don't get too much time to really let it sink in, and you're sort of left reeling. It's great. Yeah. I really like the going to begin his sermon and the remote controlled door, revealing the Virgin Mary interrupting
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Just great timing. Her glaring at him. Lydia glaring at him again. Just it's all great. And that's just before the silence can also be a prayer. Speech, which is just wonderful.
It is.
All very profound.
I like the ensuing scene of him bonding with the fellow prisoner scene, and later on it kind of gets scaled back a bit because he kind of is like, what are we, friends now because we got pissed together? But the scene of him actually bonding with the guy and breaking down his barriers and talking to him, authentically, and then coming up with this solution where he's like, I don't have the money for you, it has to go towards this burial, and the other guy kind of accepting it. And then obviously he goes on and does something very bad because he's the Judas of this story. Oh my god.
Oh my god, religion.
Look deeper, cucks. So
cry more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that sequence.
Yeah, the casual intimacy of them, and why that was kind of rough, and the way they drop out. But I do like it when he kind of breaks down in tears. This other guy, and he's like, "What am I going to do? Work at the sawmill my whole life? Give my kid a fucking plank for his birthday?"
Yeah.
It's very funny at the same time as it being really tragic.
It is.
When he does go to open the new wing in the sawmill, he's being shown around, and he sees that guy. The fucking fear I felt. At seeing him. Oh god, it was horrible.
It was a bad feeling. I've only got 2 left, and I'm going to have to make them vague so as not to give anything away. The disrobing scene I found very powerful. That was a very strong sequence.
Yes.
Not the one where he burns that chick. We've already mentioned that. Yeah. Although that was good too. I mean...
Both good.
Yeah, both good.
Hey,
I mean, the final disrobing scene.
Different kinds of disrobing, and all of them are good. At the fair, there's a sort of montage of them having a good time. And there's one scene of him...
With Bubbles!
Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. And he...
Haven't seen it.
There you go. Lost on you, mate. Oh, Bellatar made it.
Oh! I better see it.
Then I've definitely seen it. There's a moment when him and the people who are with all burst into laughter.
Tears. Oh.
Laugh tears. As
I love laugh tears.
Yet to be recognised legally, but I'm pushing for it. And he has this shocked look on his face. Somebody has said something scandalous, and with this really awkward, he does this amazing awkward face and sign of the cross, and it's just such a brilliant. It's just a really lovely, charming thing to watch him do because he's amazing. But it gets across just how comfortable he's with them.
Yes,
the town is with him. It's amazing.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
I really like that. And I also like the fact that when he bends backwards and does his flailing arms thing, he looked like Neo.
Yeah, that was good. Because he's got the vestments.
He's got the priest vestments that Neo wears inexplicably in the next 2 films.
And
it's a religious allegory. It's not inexplicable at all. He's Jesus. All right.
Oh.
There's probably an anagram somewhere in there that explains it all very clearly.
Sausage.
Neo is an anagram for "this is Jesus, sir." Oh, yeah. Oh.
This is the one Jesus. The song sung by the daughter, by the girl, is great. It's beautiful. It is tragic.
Yeah.
It's Eastern European folk music. It is... It's "and we all died at the end" type thing, and it's a very forlorn performance. Yeah. It's beautiful. Ale trzech braciszkowie, co się starali o jedną dziewczynę, który z nich ją dostanie. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for the Polish version of ABBA to take hold in this country. They've been trying for ages. The Brits have been fighting it.
So I say thank you for this turnip. The one I needed. Sorry, Eastern Europe, you're lovely. There's great things going on in Poland and all over the place. I used to say it's Eastern anyway. Eastern of what? Oh, it's the West.
Yeah.
That's immoral.
Dorks. Fucking idiots.
Fucking dorky West. Dorky West is where I like to spend my holidays. So, yes, my final one then is the fight. And again, no spoilery details, but there is a fight near the end, and it's very good. It's very, devastating. It's very brutal. It's incredibly well filmed. It's, very visceral and very upsetting. And, as a result, I liked it.
If you didn't know that Jan Komasa, I really should have learned how to pronounce names. If you didn't know that Jan Komasa was a maestro, you'd think that Gaspar Noé had come in to direct it. This one bit, but no,
or whoever,
great.
or Greg Zola.
Yeah. Or Vince
Great.
Vaughn.
Except it wasn't Nazi enough.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Few people are.
Yeah. Few people are for my standards.
My
I
last
can't
one.
believe he was fighting the little girl. That's what's really galling.
Yeah, she held her own.
She beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, should have
That's the
seen
end
the
of
other
the
guy.
movie.
She says, "Yeah," and everyone's like, "Wow, you're the new man."
Oh, she's so cool. And then she gets an Iron Man suit.
Yes, Polish Iron Man.
No
So
origin story. Sorry.
Oh, I have two ones very quick. How quickly and viciously the friends hanging out descends into fighting and bickering.
Oh, yeah.
is great but horrible to watch. It just shows how absolutely poisoned this town is. But my final one is just the purely profound moment he has with the dying woman.
That was something.
Which for him just would not have been something he considered at all. Sitting there quietly by himself for a second, eventually taking a hand, and the focus on them taking each other's hands down to the friction of their skin touching, and then the simple "you will not die" from him is beautiful.
Which is at its absolute heart the thing that most people want to gain from their religion. It's just this very simple of idea of you will not die.
Yeah.
And it's just, he says it, she accepts it, and then seems to go peacefully, and it's just a hell of a moment. Yeah.
That's it.
All right, well, what about the OG team who will never die, literally? You're cursed to immortal life as a result of joining the OG team.
Yeah. Sorry, but you are welcome,
We did mention that in the fine print.
We didn't show any of you the fine print. But
We won't get to live forever, because we don't like the podcast very much, but you will.
someone's got to. Nothing from the OG team. So
Nothing at
once
all.
again,
Ooh.
I see this as a success because I think anyone who listens to this now must go and watch this.
Well, they must do.
They must.
Again, otherwise the immortality clause is void. I hope you've been watching all of these shit films.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? Mortals.
Fools. And how can people find out about our good old notes? By which I mean our nuts.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Before the internet takes them away, bans them forever, and before the internet police in my district bans them forever, by which I mean rubber bands them forever.
Oh.
You don't want to know what that entails, but I can tell you. You just need to go over to Twitter and Facebook at OGTPod. Send us an email at ogtpod@gmail.com. We have a Patreon where for our nuts post banding.
Post-nut banding.
Yeah, you can have it all for as little as $1 a month.
Have it all of this.
Oh my god, it's insane. There's hundreds of hours of content for you for $1 a month. And I said this before, you can buy nothing for $1 a month unless you have
nothing.
one, not even a Snickers.
Can't
buy a
even
Snickers.
get 100 cents for $1 a month.
Because they'll charge you
More
a
than that
service
now.
fee. Yeah.
Yes, they will.
And we
No,
don't
that's
charge you a
service
service fee. The service fee is fun.
Service fee is what I call a firm kiss on the mouth. And I'm going to go pay that fee to my bank right now.
And that is how the courts see it as well.
I'm Paul, got arrested in a bank.
I'm how the courts see me.
And remember, the one good thing about Corpus Christi is just the beautiful, beautiful eyes of a man finally seeing his full potential.